The delegation ship Kesrith Dominion hung in the void between star systems like a threat made solid. Its hull, black as the space around it, was etched with the sigils of 17 conquered civilizations, trophies worn openly, intentionally, a message delivered before a single word was spoken. Admiral Darian Voss stood at the viewport of the ISV Resolute and studied it with the calm expression of a man reading a mildly interesting newspaper. "They're transmitting again, Admiral," said Lieutenant Mara Holt from the comm station. "Put it through." The holographic projection shimmered to life in the center of the bridge. Commander Kaelzer Vera materialized, tall, iridescent scales running from crown to collar, four-fingered hands clasped behind his back with the practiced ease of someone who had done this many times before. His species, the Vethera, had a gift for theater. Every gesture was deliberate. Every word, calculated. Admiral Voss. His translator rendered the syllables in crisp standard. "I will extend this courtesy once more. Humanity's expansion into the Kael Reach is a violation of Vethera sovereign territory. Withdraw your colony ships. Withdraw your mining platforms. Withdraw your people. Or we will demonstrate why no species has stood against us twice." Voss tilted his head slightly. "And the demonstration would be?" Kaelzer smiled, the Vethera version of it, at least, which involved retracting the secondary eyelid and showing the full black of the primary iris. "You will see. Within the standard cycle." The transmission cut. Voss turned to his XO, Commander Priya Sanchez. "Get me Dr. Felton from Xenobiology." The creature arrived in a containment pod launched from the Kesrith Dominion the following morning. It was, by any objective measure, terrifying. The Vethera called it the Gorak. 7 meters from snout to tail. 4 tons of scaled muscle, bone reinforced with iron-dense cartilage, and a jaw pressure that, according to the sensor readings Lieutenant Holt pulled up in real time, exceeded 40,000 pounds per square inch. It had 3 rows of teeth. Its blood ran at approximately 52 degrees Celsius. Its hide had stopped pulse rifle fire in recorded combat footage from the Vethera's campaign against the Drellic, a species that had once been considered a military power. It thrashed inside the containment field, slamming against the magnetic barriers with enough force to rattle the bay. Commander Kaelzer appeared on screen again, clearly pleased with himself. "The Gorak is the apex predator of our homeworld. For 300 years, we have bred them for war. They have ended civilizations, Admiral. Entire species have chosen extinction over facing them in open field." He let the silence hold. "We have 47 of them. We will deploy them to your colony settlements, one by one, until your people understand what it means to cross the Vethera." Voss watched the creature hurl itself at the containment field again. The field held. "Can I have 24 hours? Voss asked. Kaelzer blinked his secondary eyelids. "What? 24 hours. Before you deploy the rest. Is that agreeable?" A long pause. "You wish to deliberate your surrender?" "Something like that." Kaelzer, clearly confused but unwilling to appear rattled, gave a sharp nod. 24 hours, Admiral. Then we release the others." Voss found Dr. Alara Felton in the Xenobiology bay, already 3 hours deep into scanning the Gorak. She was 5'2", wore her gray hair in a bun held together with a stylus, and had the focused energy of someone who had just been handed the best gift of her career. "Admiral." She didn't look up from her tablet. "This thing is extraordinary. Look at the musculature here, secondary glycolytic fiber structure, meaning it can sustain burst speed for nearly 4 minutes without lactic buildup. And the scale composition, it's not keratin, it's a silicon-carbon hybrid lattice. Essentially biological armor." She finally looked up. "You didn't come down here to hear me rave about it." "No," Voss said. "I came to ask what it tastes like." Felton blinked. "Metabolically," Voss continued, "is it compatible with human consumption?" She stared at him. Then she looked at the Gorak. Then back at Voss. You're serious. We have 24 hours. They were serious. Dr. Felton ran the full biochemical panel in 6 hours. The Gorka's muscle tissue was protein-dense, low in saturated fat relative to its body mass, and contained no compounds toxic to human biology. The silicon-carbon scales were indigestible but separable. The internal organs were largely analogous in function to terrestrial megafauna, and 2 of them, the secondary liver and the thermal gland, were, biochemically speaking, closer to a delicacy than a hazard. Chief Petty Officer James Kwame, who before his naval career had run a restaurant in Lagos, volunteered to lead the culinary assessment. 12 hours after the Gorka's arrival, the ISV Resolute's mess deck smelled extraordinary. Kwame had worked fast. The Gorak had been humanely euthanized, a process that took 3 sedative doses designed for creatures 4 times its size, and butchered with a methodology that Felton had described as part science, part art, and part sheer audacity. The hide had been stripped. The meat, sectioned. What came out of the kitchen, 4 hours later, was served on actual plates. Slow-braised Gorak shoulder with a reduction of the creature's own thermal gland secretion, which caramelized under heat into something with the complexity of a balsamic glaze crossed with smoked paprika. Seared Gorak loin, medium rare, with a crust of ship pantry herbs and a side of reconstituted grain. The secondary liver, sliced thin and flash-seared, with citric acid from the hydroponics bay cutting the richness. Admiral Voss sat at the head of the mess table with his senior staff. He cut into the loin. He chewed. He nodded. Tell Commander Kaelzer we're ready to respond. Kaelzer appeared on the bridge hologram with the confidence of a man who had spent 24 hours imagining various forms of human capitulation. Admiral Voss. Your time is concluded. Do you surrender the Kael Reach? We do not, Voss said. Kaelzer's secondary eyelids snapped shut. Then we deploy the remaining 46 Gorak to your. Before you do, Voss interrupted, I want to show you something. He nodded to Holt. The camera feed from the mess deck went live on the shared channel. Kaelzer saw 43 human crew members seated at long tables. He saw plates. He saw cutlery. He saw what was, unmistakably, the butchered and prepared remains of the Gorak his people had sent as a weapon. He watched a lieutenant cut off a piece of loin and eat it with the casual satisfaction of a person at a Sunday dinner. He watched Dr. Felton make a note on her tablet and eat a piece of the thermal gland reduction with an expression of genuine scientific pleasure. He watched Chief Kwame come out of the kitchen, remove his apron, sit down, and serve himself a second portion. The silence from the Kesrith Dominion lasted 11 seconds. You consumed it, Kaelzer said. We did, Voss confirmed. And Commander, I want to be honest with you, because I think honesty is the foundation of any productive relationship. He leaned forward slightly. It was excellent. The thermal gland especially, Dr. Felton believes it has commercial potential. We'd like to discuss sustainable harvesting. Another silence. The Gorak, Kaelzer said slowly, has ended civilizations. So has hunger, Voss said. We figured out hunger. It took us a while, but we got there. You're not afraid of them. We're not afraid of anything that fits in a pan, Commander. And a few things that don't. Voss sat back. Here is what I'm offering, genuinely and without hostility. We will not expand past the Kael Reach's designated boundary markers. We will submit to joint resource arbitration. We will treat the Vethera as equals in regional governance. He paused. And if you ever want to open trade negotiations on Gorak ranching rights, we're open to the conversation. Kwame thinks he can build a menu around it. The hologram flickered. Kaelzer stood very still for a long moment. I will convey your terms to the High Council, he said, with the precise tone of someone trying to sound composed while internally restructuring their understanding of the universe. Appreciated, Voss said. The feed cut. Commander Sanchez turned from her station. Do you think they'll agree? Voss considered the question. I think, he said, that any species that built an empire on fear has never had to negotiate with something that looked at their greatest weapon and asked for the recipe. He stood and straightened his jacket. Send Kwame my compliments. And save me a portion of that liver, I'll want it with dinner. He walked off the bridge. Behind him, Lieutenant Holt pulled up the sensor feed. The Kesrith Dominion was still sitting there, motionless, its 46 remaining Gorak presumably still in their holds. It hadn't moved in 19 minutes. It wouldn't move for another 6 hours. When it finally did, it was retreating. Somewhere in the annals of Vethera military history, a new entry would eventually be added, brief, clinical, and deeply uncomfortable to read. The Gorak campaign against humanity was terminated after the human fleet consumed the initial deployment and requested sustainable harvesting rights. Assessment: do not send humans things they might eat. Further engagement, inadvisable.